Hi, Ashray. Welcome. Uh, Good to see you here.
Thanks, Saransh.
Uh, Thanks. So, Ashray, I'll dive right in here. Uh, the reason why I really wanted to talk to you is, the problem statement that you are primarily working on, I feel somewhere is phenomenally interesting. Uh, because, a lot of innovation is happening in the space of content or in the space of content consumption per se. But and I'm also seeing a lot of innovation happening in micro content being created, etc. But not a lot of innovation is happening in terms of how video will fundamentally be created in the future. I think that's when I came across Rephrase. I was quite curious to know more about your journey till here. What are you really thinking? How did you even come across this, or how do you plan to tackle it? Because it's a fairly large, audacious goal, right? It's not just another goal of creating a content and just quickly putting it out there. It's about fundamentally restructuring the way people think about content creation, how content creators actually will be in the future. Uh, so I'll let the audience hear more from you as to what your story has been till now, till here, and what Rephrase is all about.
Thank you. So, yeah, it's been a super interesting journey to get to where we are now. And I would say it's been one small step at a time. Just to set the context, we are a generative AI company where we help create video content with just text as input. It's a big departure from how video content has fundamentally been created with pre-production and then the shoot day and then the post-production, right? So making content creation really, really simple. That's our goal. Uh, I look at it at two parallel stories converging at one point. I used to be the convener of film club in IIT Bombay, and we used to make
Mm-hmm.
other short films. And once you've made a lot of that content, you realize that video creation, especially professional video creation, is really, really challenging. Like, for example, even now that we're speaking right now, there's some background noise coming on the side, and like if you're shooting any professional video, that's just a cut, which is like something will go wrong almost like so many times that you have to do the same thing over and over and over again. So there's a creative element to it, which is interesting, but then there's so much of just logistical nightmare to be able to shoot a movie or any professional video. So that was my goal, that it doesn't need to be that complicated. Uh, once and the way we look at it is, if say you can imagine something in your mind, to actually put it to to bring it to life is very difficult, and that's a process that I wanted to simplify. Coincidentally, Nishit, who was my co-founder with my previous company as well, also brought up this similar vision that he wanted to build an engine which can take any text as input and they create an entire Hollywood film as output. He had done one summer project which got great feedback, and he wanted to build that up as the next version of the whole technology. That, combined with all of the AI breakthroughs that we were seeing, made us believe that this was the right time for us to build an engine like that, which could help make professional video creation as simple as just writing text. And given the proliferation of videos that you see out there, we're already seeing that there are tools out there for consumers or prosumers, uh, which make video creation simple. The entire video creation flow of tools like Instagram, TikTok makes it really simple for normal consumers to create high quality videos. What we wanted to do was help businesses create professional quality video content really easily. Saransh, I can't hear you at all.
Yeah, sorry. Jeff Bezos had the same problem. It's okay. Yeah. So if I have it right, then what you're trying to say is that this Zoom call isn't even necessary. We could actually be typing on our phones, and our digital personas could be interacting with each other.
Very similar to that, correct? That uh, uh, you can have text, and then you can use text-to-speech technologies to convert it to audio, and
Mm-hmm.
that's when the rephrase engine comes in, where we take any audio and a face to have a real human character speaking that text as an output. So you're correct. In the future, the Zoom call could just be over textual conversations.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I'd love for you to take us through a couple of use cases that could maybe help our listeners understand what kind of experiments have you run around the whole rephrase engine till now? Have you worked with some companies where you found out some very interesting use cases as to how it's going? And before I know that rephrase also made a course with Udemy, so I'll get to that later. But more from a uh, fundamental level, what has your experience been so far, and do you think India is ready for it?
Um, so what we've built is an extremely horizontal technology that's been used at a bunch of different places. Uh, it's been used to create digital marketing content, corporate L&D content. EdTech is a major one, as you rightly mentioned. We created a course on Udemy. But the one use case that we're doubling down on, where we see has the largest potential, is to create personalized sales and marketing messages at scale. What I mean by this is, today you can either do scalable reach outs in sales using text messages. For example,
Mm-hmm.
I can just write in any of my CRM tools or email sending tools like hi dollar name, good to meet you, and then I can upload a CSV file with millions of different entries where the name can get personalized for every single person. So you get an email saying hi Saransh, good to meet you, and I get an email saying hi Ashray, good to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you decide to send out videos, you've got two choices. First is either you just send out a generic video to every single person, or you actually record one video after the other. It's like, typing one email after the other, and you lose the entire tech stack that's been built over so long. Uh, so what we're now doing is, in some sense, bringing the whole merge tag and personalization technology to the world of videos, where you can write a script with these merge tags in place. The most basic one being with just names, but you can add as many personalized fields as you want, and then upload a CSV file, and we actually create thousands or millions of personalized videos for every single of your customers or your vendors, or anyone you want to reach out to. So we think that's an incredibly powerful technology because it brings the best of both the worlds together. You get the simplicity of text, it fits right into the tools that you use today, and you get the scalability of uh, you get the personalization and the conversions of videos, and you get the scalability of text reach outs.
That's very interesting. So you know what, this actually brings me to a very interesting thought which I was having the other day, which was, so now if you look at say for example there's a particular demographic segment, right? And conventionally you could have uh, one particular actor creating personalized videos for that demography. But then during your A/B test for a company, for example, they suddenly realize that this particular actor is not working well. So your rephrase engine can actually change the character and have someone else basically speaking that same video message out. And a lot of this could happen very quickly, very, very fast. So somewhere, um, the role of a human being is then diminishing with every passing day. Uh, so do you think in the future, then there wouldn't, like with the whole rise of, offline personalities right now going online, you've got this whole influencer movement right now with millions of strong, interesting people creating content. Uh, do you think then in the future, you basically won't need a human to sort of face to primarily influence or reach out to large masses and create their own brands? So do you see that whole movement towards digital influencers becoming more machine driven rather than human driven?
That's a really good question, and I want to spend some time trying to answer that, so that I can, because I think there were multiple questions inside of one question. Um, so you mentioned that, we can, for example, if say a movie's been recorded with one actor, we could switch that actor with some other different person. Uh, we don't do that today. And I don't think that's the way that technology will eventually, like, at least say our vision does not encompass that. What we do want to do is that if say you have licensed one actor for your movie, for your brand, for your social media channels or whatever, we want to be able to make the best use of that actor's IP. For example, say if I am Shah Rukh Khan, and if I sign a contract with the brand, uh, the brand still only gets just one or two particular shoot days in a year, and you
Mm-hmm.
have to plan out your entire marketing content right up in front, because uh, and that's just a logistical problem. I want to help you create personalized content for every small sale that you run, because that's better for the brand, that's better for the customers, and that's also better for me because I'm helping you promote, add more value. But it's just not logistically possible today because I'm Shah Rukh Khan and I'm busy and I have 10 other brands to promote and I have 3 other movies to shoot. So what we see happening with this technology is that you will be able to create personalized content with Shah Rukh Khan's IP, with his permission, but without having to get his time. So uh, that's the way we expect that these things will scale. I'll give you a slightly different example. Say if I'm endorsing a brand, I would want to develop a personalized connect with my audience. So say for
Right.
example, if you order something from Big Basket, you could get a new product launch feature from Shah Rukh Khan saying, "Hi Saransh, we just launched this new product," something like this. And of course, a part of this will go to Shah Rukh Khan. So Shah Rukh Khan makes more money, the brand makes more money because of higher conversions, and the customers
Mm-hmm.
are happy. So we think of it as a technology that makes everybody in this ecosystem happier, by making a lot better use of the IP that actors have built over time. So that's the way I see things going. I don't think of it as replacing humans. To your second point, though, we also think that there will be digital influencers as well. There are already some characters like Little Michaela in the US, which have built a fair bit of following. Uh, I think that trend will continue, and with technologies like ours becoming more commonly available, the ability to be able to create influencer characters like that will become democratized. So I think that will happen. But the part that is missing there is it's not just about the technology here. It's a lot more about the creativity of what does that character do. You build an entire story. You build an entire storyline and a life of a digital character, which the way I think of it is the ability to express your ideas is getting democratized and becoming more easily available to a much larger set of people than it earlier was. So again, to summarize all of this, I think it'll be a mix of real celebrities and virtual celebrities. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
real celebrities are going anywhere. In fact, they'll make a lot more money because it'll become a lot more easier for them to be able to add a lot of value to the companies that they endorse.
Mm-hmm.
But also virtual celebrities will become a norm going forward just because the technology will become more easily available.
I love how you've basically you can envision the existing celebrities actually making more money. You're able to amplify their outreach and actually help them make more money. But I'm very curious, and I'd like to go a little deeper into this um, digital AI powered influencers of the future, right? So you mentioned a particular person, or sorry, a particular thing in the US who looks like a person and is an influencer. So why don't you tell us more about, say, one particular such computer generated influencer that you really like, and what do you think would be the key differences between a machine generated influencer of the future and say a human influencer, say 10, 15, 20 years hence? Because from the face of it, it looks like you won't be able to even tell the difference.
That's an interesting question. And in all fairness, I am not an expert at this. So I'll try to give you my how the whole influencer world works is not really my niche. But I'll tell you, given the whole synthetic media space, my understanding of this industry. So the digital influencers, at least in terms of the social media content that you will see, the quality of those will become really, really good. Almost as good as the real human videos that you see. At that point, I think it will become a lot about brand building and about storylines that you create. I think humans will always have an advantage over digital influencers because you just cannot eliminate the human touch that you're able to create. For example, if I meet Shah Rukh Khan once, I'm going to tell 100 of my friends, and then that 100 spreads out. You possibly cannot uh, replace that with just having a digital influencer, because to at a certain level in the back of your mind, that this influencer is not real. And in fact, I think there'll be a value of being genuine and being real. uh, Again, I still think that these will continue to get democratized. For example, you've gone from, I would say, 10 years earlier, just to having, say, a few Bollywood celebrities. Now you have lots and lots of social media influencers. And uh, I think, it's not that those social media influencers have replaced Bollywood celebrities. They've just created a new niche for themselves. I think digital influencers do the same. As people spend more and more time online, there's a much larger opportunity. So the end size of the prize of social media networks increase, and I think these things just add up to it and increase the overall size of the pool than to replace one thing or the other. Uh,
Interesting, very interesting. I like how you're talking more about how you tell 100 of your friends if you met Shah Rukh Khan, right? Uh, Somewhere I was listening to a podcast where someone, I think it was Naval or someone, said that the internet till now has been about creating abundance online. So the whole concept is that you're able to create something that is accessible by all, and hence in the inherent value of it somewhere goes down. But a new interesting movement, like, so for example with gold crypto, and I don't want to get into that side, or say with superhuman, or things like that, right, is the whole concept that can you then have digital scarcity as well. So I don't know how that will play out, but this sounds very, very interesting. That those just thoughts around how a digital influencer maybe in 100 years could be more valuable than Shah Rukh Khan. Do you think that's possible?
uh, I think it'll be an interesting mix because the digital celebrities have some value over real humans as well. For example, they don't die. And I look at Amol, Amul's brand character in that sense, like, or the character the Times of India had. That those are cartoons that have survived over decades and decades and still have a certain brand value in them, and that brand value keeps compounding over and over again. Uh, so, can a digital celebrity become bigger than a real celebrity? Possibly. I mean, it's possible, uh, but I think we'll just have to wait and see. And I'm not an expert in that.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. That's very interesting. Who knows what the future holds? Um, so let's try to bring this into now EdTech, right? Let's look at the applications of what we're talking about in EdTech. So even in many of your interviews, you've spoken about how Rephrase can actually be a very powerful engine for innovation in creating academic content. So what is your overall view over there? How do you see Rephrase playing an important role in this whole journey? I'm sorry, I can't. Yeah.
Sorry. EdTech, I think, is one of the largest content creators of videos in India today, and which is, for us, it's a pretty interesting space to look at. Uh, I'll tell you some of the things that I've seen around where we can add significant value to EdTech as a space. First of all is, till now, if a new EdTech company had to come in uh, into the market, they had to create a lot of educational content to be able to match up to whatever exists out there with the giants in the space. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and what we're seeing is, so for example, we just signed a company last week where we're helping them create tens of hours of video content within a matter of a month. And that would just not have been possible earlier, because earlier they would have to take 6 months, a year to just come up with speed to all of this content. They would have to do the deals with production houses, build up this entire infrastructure. It's now just become the software call. Somebody writes a script, we create a video, and it's done. So we think that's immensely powerful as a neutralizing factor for new companies to be able to bridge the gap between the older giants. um, Secondly, I think we enable personalization in EdTech at scale. And I'm- I mean, I look at it as maybe the next thing in EdTech, where instead of just doing the thing of being able to do the same recording lectures and putting them online, or just adding a few graphics, it's still one to many sort of communication. We will over time see one-to-one communication becoming the default in EdTech. And
Mm-hmm.
when you start to use that, you will need to use tools like Rephrase to enable personalization at scale. And I think that's where we'll add a lot of value. For example, uh, one of the senior founders of a major company in EdTech in India once mentioned, and I highly respect that guy, that whenever you were sitting in a real class, I would take your name, right? Like if the teacher takes your name, you would always listen to that lecture very carefully, because you think, like, I am being watched by the teacher, and hence I can't just doze off, or, like, I can't, I have to be very careful here. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, we think interesting products or interesting user flows built around the Rephrase technology can
Mm-hmm.
enable a lot of more value add in EdTech.
Interesting. You know what? I want your imagination to run wild for a second here. Now, imagine we are 10 years in the future, and to a greater extent, technology is advanced. So, when you're talking about personalization at scale, right? Or when you're talking about the fact that that teacher mentioned the student's name, have you ever envisioned a particular model classroom like this, where I can imagine one educator sitting in front of this matrix styled, architect office where there are like hundreds of screens, and he or she is able to control the learning experience of each of these students, or maybe you don't even need that educator there. uh, do you think something like that in the future, where interaction becomes more real time, is possible? And like what would be your model AI powered video learning experience?
I think for me, it would be a highly personalized education for every single student at scale. And the way I imagine it is, uh, say if I am a very average student, uh, you give me maths problem, right? I try to solve that maths problem.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if I am not able to, I am able to write my doubt there, and say something like Wolfram Alpha automatically solves that problem, and something like Rephrase automatically creates a personalized video, which in
Mm-hmm.
a very engaging manner teaches me, hey, this is where I got stuck, this is where I did wrong. And automatically the AI understands that, I need to be, these are the concepts that are weak for me. And the next question that I'm solving automatically gets adjusted for my level. And uh, again, the AI just continues to see which concepts I'm strong at, which concepts I'm weak at, what should be the next content that should show me. At what point do you think I'm bored enough that, I will probably not solve the next question, but it needs to show me a lecture instead, or, like, now it needs to show me an interactive graphic, or, like, so I think uh, one of the things I've felt is, mm, we do something wrong in education. I don't know what. A lot of people find education boring, which it doesn't really need to be. Uh, Whenever I spend some time around kids and you give them a game, they never want to leave that game. Uh, and if you can make education as interactive as a game, uh, which is where I think the future of education will go, and which is where I think the next generation of edtech companies will be built. Uh, then kids will want to study themselves. It'll be fun, and it'll be highly catered to what your strengths and what your weaknesses are. So that's where I think AI of edtech will go, in my perspective.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So, are there any digital personalities in education across the world at this point of time?
As I mentioned, we're creating some videos with some digital avatars for a few companies already. But I don't know, for example, if there's one which is very famous, one out there.
Because one thought that just came to my head while you were talking is, say, for example, you have a lot of very famous IIT JEE professors, physics professors, maths professors, you name it, right? A large part of their teaching experience is also the way they deliver content. While you might have another educator who might not be the best at delivery, but is phenomenally good at structuring a class, or like putting the content out there, or like simplifying concepts to a deep level. So do you think this kind of a technology in that case could give a much larger level up to these unfound educators who maybe were not able to teach well enough because of other aspects of their personality, and suddenly now in the future you could see a huge rise or increase in these digital educators whose real face no one has seen but are rock stars in their own rights? Because yeah, I mean, because you don't know who they are, but they teach well, and maybe they could be rephrase powered, and suddenly uh, every student knows about them and is learning from them. Over there, when you've done or created content around edtech, right, using the rephrase, have you seen students? What have students' reactions been like, and what do you think will be the next step over there? How do you think you can improve the student experience or the student teacher interaction over there, where maybe a real human is just not needed? And do you think the future could have that?
This is a really interesting question, because in IITs, uh, most professors are smart, but I would say a fair bit of people lack communication skills. And what you see is, people that you really want to respect, but you're not able to understand really well from them. So I completely understand the gap that you're trying to point out here. Uh, and as you rightly mentioned, today people who are able to communicate better get a leg up over people who might be able to design the curriculum well or be able to clarify questions better, just because they're able to develop a better emotional connect with students, and hence add more value. So I think a future like that is possible, where uh, we'll have these micro educators trying to create trying to teach people just around their small network, and they can use digital avatars to teach it instead of having to record their own videos. uh, I think it also links back to the point that we were previously discussing, which is, even if you were to build a digital avatar, the whole creativity behind it would still come from a real human. And what becomes really important is the brain behind it, rather than just this face out there. So even in this scenario, the educator behind this, who is designing the curriculum, who's able to build a better connect with the students and see what to do, what not to do, I think those people will outweigh the just the people right now who are able to speak better. So yeah, I think it's an interesting time. I think things like student reactions, student interactions is something that we'll only be able to realize in the future once a lot of this starts to become reality. I think these are really early days for these newer educational interfaces.
Wow, that sounds so cool. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about your experiment that you did with Udemy, right, and the course that you created? What were your learnings from there? What were the challenges you faced? What realizations did you come across from that whole?
So for us, the Udemy experiment was more of a test than anything else, as just as a proof of concept that it is possible to create edtech content at scale. And I think that's what's captured the eye of a lot of people out there in the industry, where they've gone back and seen it. In fact, when we did that, our technology was like significantly worse than what it is right now. We've significantly improved lip syncs. The videos look like much better today. So I'm sure the experience of students today would be like significantly better than what it was back then. Back then, it was just an experiment for us to prove to the market that it's possible.
Interesting. I had a question for you, right? Um, when we talk about multi-language sort of duplication of video content, so for example, there's an educator teaching a particular concept of time, speed, and distance in English. Now, at this point of time, is it possible for that language to be converted into, say, 30 other languages, and then that video being replicated in those languages, and then the lip sync accordingly being automated and put together, and suddenly just you have 30 videos of 30 different languages of the same topic being taught by one educator? Do you think something like that is possible at this point of time, or in the near future? Then how long?
No, I think this is absolutely possible. In fact, we've created some similar videos, not exactly done this at scale yet, but uh, just as an example, we had an EdTech company from Russia reach out to us, where their challenge was that they could only afford to create content in Russian because because the talent availability and the language that they knew really well. But they had a hypothesis that their content would do much better in English and I think Spanish. I may remember the language wrong. So just the ability that they can now create mini content in different languages across geographies and test it out in different markets, and based on the adoption that they're seeing in different languages in different markets, then double down and create an entire curriculum in that geography, sitting in Russia, where without knowing to speak that language properly. I think it's going to be incredibly powerful, and I think it's absolutely possible even today.
Interesting. Any other use cases or experiments that you are running in parallel that you'd like to tell the world about?
We're running a bunch of experiments on sales side today, where we send out personalized video emails. We with different levels of personalization. We A/B test just text emails and video emails, and we're able to prove to people the significant amount of value that they get out of video emails in terms of doubling or tripling their click-through rates and conversion at the end of the funnel. So I would say most of our experiments are right now focused on the sales side, but of course, it's because of the horizontal nature of our platform. It's amazing to see what all people do with a creative technology like this.
That's amazing. That's so nice. So I think that's where I'll not push the realms, or we shall stop trying to push the realms of what is possible and what is not at this moment. But at a very personal level, Ashray, congratulations! You've recently even raised a round of funding, and now uh, there's a lot of work, I'm guessing, that's going to be happening in the near future. Has your work day significantly changed?
I think it it keeps changing back and forth depending on how many US meetings we have, how many Indian meetings we're having. But it's fun. I think the best part about being a startup founder is that every week is unique. You're doing amazing things every week. You're meeting really inspirational folks uh, who I would say every week make a minor dent to what worldview you believe in. So I mean, that's why I love starting companies and working with such folks.
Amazing. Final question for you before we wrap it is, we all know the bad things about 2020, but what are the amazing things about 2020 that you'll remember?
I mean, personally, to my space, I think this is going to be the breakthrough year for synthetic media. I think the fundamentals have been laid down, and you have no idea what you're going to see next year. It's going to be big.
Wow, that will be part two of this conversation sometime in the future, in 2021, when we learn more about that. How can people reach out to you? How can they learn more about Rephrase? Yeah,
Uh, uh, our website is rephrase.ai. Everyone can check us out. We have a tab of solutions, and under solutions, you can see many different sample videos that we've created for sales and marketing and personalized video API, and also many of the other use cases that we discussed of EdTech, some multilingual videos. So if anybody wants to check out the current state of what the synthetic media video quality is or video creation makes possible, just check us out at rephrase.ai and feel free to reach us out to there via the website.
that sounds amazing. Thank you so much, Ashray, for agreeing to do this. And it was a real pleasure talking to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.